Good effing day, everybody. Welcome to the next video in the FPS series. Today you'll learn how to make some kick-ass custom animations for your Unreal Engine 5 game. I've been working with the first-person template for about 5 years, and it's always bothered me how hard it is to make first-person animations in the engine with the first-person character. That is until today, where I'm going to show you guys not only how to set up your first-person arms to be animated without the third-person character, but also how to seamlessly attach both hands to the weapon so that you can animate cleanly and to the point of the camera. So you do not want to miss that, so make sure you're watching all the way to the end so that you get all the tidbits of information hidden in this video. Really quickly, if you don't know who I am, my name is Taken Grace, and I make Unreal Engine 5 content like tutorials and other Unreal 5 related content. So if you do want to join the community, make sure you hit that subscribe button and we can become better game devs together. Alright, let's get into the video and do some animating. Alright, welcome to the video here. So a couple things we need to do to get this actually set up here. So it'll be a couple of minutes here before we can start animating. So a couple things I want to point out first. So the first person character, right in here, this guy, we're gonna put him into the level. So the first person character's arms is actually the same skeleton as the third person character, so that's how we can basically manipulate the system to make these arms work with a control rig instead of the third person character. So in order to get that control rig, we do need to import the third person content, which is fine. We're going to use the third person meshes and stuff later when we deal with enemies. So we're going to go, you go up to add here. We're going to go to add feature content pack, and then you're going to select third person and then hit add to project. And then that will add this other, just to make it extra confusing. It's going to add characters here. So we go to characters, we go to mannequins, we go to rigs, and right here we have the control rig mannequin. So what we're going to do here, if you actually open this up, it's just taking a really long time to load. Oh, here we go. There we go. Alright, so really complicated stuff here. I did try to make a control rig for the first person arms once. It was terrible. Terrible experience. I got it to work, it just looked jank. But anyways, so if we go over to, I believe it's the preview scene. We have the preview mesh here. What we're going to do is we're going to change that to the first person arms. If we can find them here. Here they are. Okay, and then it's going to reload that control rig. All right, and there it is. You can see it's literally exactly the same, and we're going to hit compile. So now when we load this control rig in, it's going to automatically default have the arms attached to it. So that's step number one. So we're going to close this control rig for now. The other problem we have, the third-person mannequin, when you're using the control rig, has a post-processing animation blueprint on it. So that enables the IK to basically manipulate all the controls seamlessly. However, the first-person rig does not have this post-processing on it. So when you actually like rotate the wrist, it like completely deforms the mesh and it looks super weird. So in order to fix that, we need to basically duplicate the post-processing. So right here it says Anim BP Manny post-processing. We need to duplicate that, and we're gonna rename this. Let's just do post-process arms. That works. Okay, so we were gonna open that up, and pardon me, we're not gonna open that up. We don't need to open it up because all we need to do is right-click and go assign skeleton, and we need to find our arms. Pull this open. Arm skeleton. This one right here. Hit accept. Okay, now our arms has post-processing, and now it won't get deformed when we're animating it. Alright, the last thing we need to do, a little bit more time consuming, but we need to open up our weapons, wherever that ended up. It's in first person, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Weapons. We need to open up our meshes, and our weapon meshes, and our skeleton meshes. We need to open up all of them. So you'll recall in a previous video we added sockets for our all of our weapon attachments. Now we need to add right hand and left hand socket attachments, and these aren't going to have anything to do with gameplay. This is only going to be for the animation, and it's going to basically line up our hands on the gun so that we only have to manipulate where the gun goes and our hands are going to follow along with it. It's just going to make your life so much easier. So just make sure they're named the same thing. Obviously it's same with the we did with the attachment names. Okay, so on the root bone, we're going to just add a socket, and we're going to right hand socket. That's my naming convention, capital for every word, instead of, because you can't do spaces, obviously. Add socket, and we'll do one more, and it'll be the, whoops, did I do that wrong? I did. Add socket. Ah! Left hand socket. So you just need to do that for all of the weapons, you don't need to move them around and manipulate them just yet. We'll do that later. Okay, and we're gonna just do that for all the weapons. So I'll see you guys in a few minutes when you guys have completed that task. Alrighty, so we should have all that completed now. Alright, so let's just put this off to the side. So I'm just gonna say a big disclaimer right now. When I was doing my prep project, Unreal crashed so much. It crashed like within the span of 4 or 5 days. It was like 26 times. It was insane. So I had to redo a bunch of work. So I'm gonna mention saving quite a bit in this tutorial because I don't want you guys to have to redo a bunch of work like I did. So basically, after every animation I complete, I'm gonna save, or anything major I'm gonna save because I don't want to deal with that. So yeah. I did make a bug report with Epic. I don't know why I was crashing literally. Like, I was literally saving or, like, moving an arm in an animation and it would crash. Like, it was insane. So, but anyways, we are going to get started now. So, first thing we need to do is we need to make a level sequence. So, we will come up here and go add level sequence. Okay. And it's just going to go into your regular content and we'll name this AK Anims. Okay. Here's our sequencer. This is the sequencer timeline, but the other one that you should have open is right here. It's called the animation curve editor. Okay, that opens it up. I dock it right over here because we're going to be working in these a lot. So, all right, the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to add this actor into our sequencer. So we're going to click on him. We're going to add actor to sequencer, and he should be right here if you have him selected. BP first person character. There he is. Okay. Next, we need to add the skeletal mesh that we need to manipulate, which will be our arms. So we're just going to click on this little plus track here. We're going to add a first-person mesh. I guess that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, first-person mesh. Now we need to add the control rig to actually control this skeletal mesh. So we're going to click on the plus for the first-person mesh, and we're going to go to control rig, and we're going to select the CR mannequin body, which is the one we made. There it is. Okay, first thing, obviously, we got to rotate this guy so it's facing the right way because for some reason, the first-person arms is always facing the wrong way. I have no idea why that's a thing. But yeah, so if you look in your first-person character right now, it's actually facing minus 90 degrees. Don't know. So we're going to put rotation minus 90 on here as well so that it's facing the right way. All right. Next thing we need to do, up here we have some control switches. Right now we're in FK, which means if I click and drag this, it's going to stretch it out. Ugly. Ugly. So we have arm left FK IK switch and arm right FK IK switch. We're going to make both of those true, and now we get this little box. So basically FK is you have to rotate individual bones and kind of get them into position. IK works with a solver, that giant gross graph you saw at the beginning of the video. So basically I just have to click this and move it, and it's going to move and manipulate all the bones to basically achieve this particular direction. You can go outside that thing. It's going to still try to solve, but once it hits the ends of those constraints, your control's just going to continue to go places, but not your actual arm or hand or whatever. Okay. So that's all donezo. Next, we need to get a gun into the sequencer here. So we are going to click on our rifle, and we're going to add actor to sequencer BP AK-47, and you'll notice that nothing happened, and that's because it has some stuff on it. So we'll click on here, and we come up to details. See, it has location, rotation, all that stuff. We're going to clear those, and there it is. Okay. I see that it completely avoided us. But anyways, what we're going to do now is we're going to just move this and get it into a good position for our scene here. So the other benefit of doing we're going to rotate 90 degrees. I just got to do it here. Or minus 90, I guess. So yeah, the other benefit of doing it this way is in terms of like the first person arms instead of doing it with a third person mesh, because when you do it with a third person mesh, you have to add another scene camera, or else you have to deal with like the really tiny camera preview here, and it's just like really hard to actually animate for your weapons when you can't really see it that well. Okay, so you can actually click right here. There's a little camera, and it says lock first person character to selected viewport. So if you click on that, this is our first person camera now. So we're looking at that. Don't move around in this viewport while this is active, because you're actually going to move the camera. If you do, I think you can control Z so you can see, you know, obviously it's moving everything. So if you hit control Z, it doesn't get you back. Okay, so don't do that. So you can see them all off to the side there. Okay, there we go. We got it all fixed there. I guess you just got to leave the viewport to do that. But anyways, Alrighty, so now that we're in a good-ish spot, what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect our two hands to the gun. So in order to do that, we're gonna focus on this constraints over here. Okay, so if I open it up, there's no constraints, obviously. So we wanna parent these two hands to the two sockets that we made just before this. And that way they should move around the entire time with, I just realized I have a cube in here. I don't need a cube. Anyways, so yeah, we're gonna parent this. So let's click on this and it'll say hand RIK control. That's the one we want. And then we're gonna come up here to the plus. We're gonna add constraint and we're gonna select parent. We're gonna click on the gun with this little eyedropper that comes up. Then it's gonna ask us to select a socket, which is gonna be our right hand socket for the right hand. Okay, notice how this just popped up and it's blue. That means that there's an offset. So we're going to open this up and you'll see that it says parent and it has right hand socket. So at any point, you can actually detach this hand from that constraint by basically adding a keyframe and then turning off this constraint. But we don't want to do that, obviously, pretty much for the whole thing, except for maybe one, but we'll see how that goes. Anyways, now we need to do the left hand, so we're going to come over here to select the left hand control. This is where only select brick controls can come in handy because I might select the floor or something else. Okay, we're going to add another constraint, another parent, the gun again, and then left hand socket this time. So we do want some offset right now because we want to set where this hand is going to be on the gun. If you go to all, you can see all of your constraints that you have up right now. If you have any issues with this whatsoever, like for some reason it's not following even though it's connected, or like this doesn't stay blue, I found just literally removing the constraint and then re-adding it from frame 0 is going to basically fix all that for you. All right, a couple things I want to point out. Number one, make sure auto keyframe is on. And number two, make sure that the snapping is enabled, because if it's not, I can move, and you can see how a star basically just popped up by my playhead. That means I'm still on frame 0, but I'm between frame 0 and frame 1. So you can basically put keyframes or subframes, what they're called, between these frames, and it gets really annoying. Really fast, because you're like, why is it not lining up? Oh, because they're literally not on the exact frame, they're like in subframes. So yeah, by doing that, you won't have to worry about subframes. Okay, a couple of quick movement things. If you hold control and scroll on the mouse wheel, you can zoom in and out on your timeline. If you hold shift and mouse wheel, you can shuffle on your timeline. All right, so let's get started here with arranging all of these hands on the gun. So just a little preview of what we're doing. This part of the tutorial is going to be the longest and most time-consuming part for you. I'm going to show you how to do the AK, and I'll kind of go through all the animations. I'll probably cut it up a little bit just so it doesn't get stale and slow and boring. But I will show you a little bit of techniques. We'll be working on setting our keyframes. That'll be step one, is setting the keyframe for the animation. And then we'll basically use this animation graph here to just make sure that they flow nice, and like they're, you know, we'll do a little bit of animation techniques in here. And then following that, I will show you guys how you can do other weapons, which is significantly less work, because you basically just have to swap out the gun, make sure the constraints work, and then just replay the animations you already made, and then do some small tweaks here and there for the other weapons just to make it a bit unique. Or if, you know, for example, like the rocket launcher, we're not going to be whipping that around while we're sprinting, but the pistol, we might be like a little bit more aggressive with our sprint. So stuff like that, you might want to make some modest changes. But okay, enough of me blabbering away here. We're gonna get right over here. So yeah, I'm moving this hand into position here. We can rotate it. Try to do everything on local space as much as possible, just so that it doesn't like completely deform the actual rig here. Okay, so we're doing the arm here. We're just gonna get this into a good spot. All right, and then that should maybe rotate it back a bit more, and then this should be pretty good. So if I actually play right now, you'll notice that nothing obviously happens. But the benefit of doing the constraints thing here is if we close this and open up weapon mesh, we'll go to frame 0, so you can just manipulate that down here, or you can go back to the beginning of your open timeline here. Open up weapon mesh and add a transform track. Okay, so now we can manipulate the transform of this gun. We're going to add a keyframe at the beginning, and now anytime we move the gun, it'll add a keyframe for us. Okay, so we'll just basically move the gun up, and you can see that both arms just moved too, so they're actually following the constraint that we set, but obviously we got to get the hands in the right spot so that it doesn't look silly. But anyways, we'll delete this for now just so we can get it all lined up. Make sure you're on frame 0 again. We don't want to be putting keyframes in random spots. Okay. So this is where you need to get a little bit meticulous. I said in a previous video, like, oh, don't worry about the left hand, blah, 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 blah. We're going to fix it later. This is the later. Okay, so just a quick overview. If you guys haven't used the controller before, these back here are the wrist bones. This is going to control your, basically the majority of the movement, and it can also kind of deform the hands. I also noticed the pinky and the pointer finger kind of control more of the hand than you think. So I would actually start with that, those two controls, and then you can manipulate the other two if you need them. That should be fine. These green circles are, what do they call them? The metacarpal. I think that's probably the actual name for it. Anyways, if you rotate this on the Z, make sure this is in local, by the way, or else your finger's gonna get deformed. It's gonna bend your entire finger. Yeah, I was having this issue yesterday where if I selected all of them and then did the what's it called, the this, it wouldn't work for all of them, but it looks like it's working today. It's a little laggy, actually, is what it is. All right, so that'll be fine. We'll just manipulate the next bones here. So keep in mind, though, we will see the right hand when we do aim down sight. So if you think that you're not going to see the right hand, you will at some points. You won't see like down here, but you'll definitely see like the fingers up here and stuff like that. So, all right. So yeah, here's that issue I was running into yesterday where it's only manipulating one and not all three, even though I have all three selected. So that's really annoying, but that's fine, I guess, for now. I'll just do this and make it all nice. Okay, and then the last one is the thumb. I always do the thumb last. But I start with the wrist bone for the thumb and just move it over to get into the spot that I like. This is like the one bone they're going to see a lot of, so I want to make sure it actually looks good. I'm just going to rotate it a little bit and then bend it in. Something like that. There, that looks pretty good. Okay, so here's the next kind of critical part of the lesson. So where the left hand is right now, there's not enough room for us to get, like, so if I move this, you can see that we don't have enough room for us to not only put it on the gun, but like to have any play in the elbow whatsoever. So this is one of those other little kind of animation tricks. We're setting this animation to the camera. So if we have to break the rig in order to make this work, then that's what we'll do. So that's what it looks like right now. Obviously, we don't want to break it too much where we're going to have the shoulder like in front of the camera because we're going to see that. But we're going to click on the shoulder control up here and we're going to move that guy. Is that too silly looking? Let's see. Well, it's definitely silly looking. I'm going to switch to global control just to get us in a good spot here. So not quite enough forward. So we're going to just keep going here. Don't worry, we'll fix the elbow in a second here. Okay, and maybe we'll do down here. Okay, that should give us enough. This little ball here, that's the pivot point for the elbow, so we just need to relocate that to a spot so that the elbow is in a not so dumb place. That actually doesn't look too bad, to be honest. Okay, so let's just slide this up here. So now you can see we have a crook in our elbow. That's going to give us a lot of room to play with later on, like when we're doing some other kind of animation stuff. Okay, so let's just rotate this hand so it doesn't look completely mangled. There we go. Yeah, we got lots of play in that elbow now. We can actually maybe even move. Do I want to give that up? I don't think I do. Not yet, anyway. Okay, we have lots of play on that right hand because we're going to move the weapon here in a moment, which actually we'll do now. So we're on frame 0. Let's select the transform track here, and we're going to select... There we go. Wasn't selected in weapon mesh for some reason. We're going to move this up, and we're going to switch to our first-person camera view so we can actually see what we're doing here. Except we can't. I can't see the transform. Yeah, it's down here. But anyways, we want to move this up clearly and then move it down. Now, you know what? Let's make this 100 field of view 100. So let's go to let's open our first person character here. Blueprints, first person character. We're going to click on our, whoa, whoops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Click on our first person camera and change the perspective. We'll just do 100 just to make it a bit nicer. Okay, we'll hit compile. We'll just move that over to the side here. Yeah, that already looks way better. So we'll do this. This right here is called near plane clipping, so we actually need to fix that, which will require us to restart the engine. Why don't we hit Control S save, and that will save all of our stuff, including what we're currently working on. Okay, let's go to its edit. Oh, what is happening? My first crash, everybody. My first one, and we just saved, so that's fine. I'm telling you, man. I don't know. It's like they don't like us to be able to have a first-person rig. Like, I don't know. Hopefully Epic gets back to me on that bug report I made, because it was so infuriating. Basically, what would have taken me a couple of hours to do, took me like 6 to 8. Just nonsense. Anyways, okay, so editor back open here. We're gonna go to project settings. We're gonna type in near clip. Near clip plane is set to 10. That's really high, to be honest. Like, this should be like 0.1. And then we're gonna hit, we're gonna do this, and it won't take effect until you restart the engine, so just do that now. All right, we're back in here. We're gonna hit dismiss there. Back in here, so when you open it up, if you're taking a break and you get this, it's just because your sequencer's not open. I mean, you can just close both of these. Open it up. We did save it in content, AK Anims. We'll open that back up here, and here we are. Instead of fumbling around with your camera, you can just literally go to lock here, and then that's it. So you can see that fixed, the near clip plane fixed our issue with us clipping into the camera. All right. All right, so let's just get this left hand. I think that's a pretty good spot, actually. You know what? I actually disagree with my own self. So let's actually move this forward. We might have to move the left control, or the left shoulder now, which doesn't really matter to me. Okay, we're not in animation mode, so that's why we can't see the control rig. Okay, we're going to select the shoulder. We're going to move it forwards. We got some more play with that. Yeah, that looks way better. So we're going to click on the weapon mesh now, and we can actually set it to a... All right, so we're going to have that be... I think right there is pretty good. These boxes are kind of in the way. All right, let's go back to our camera. So the only one that actually matters that it has to be like pointing dead center is the rocket launcher. Because when we shoot the rocket launcher, the projectile is going to spawn and travel exactly where the actual mesh of the rocket is on the rocket launcher, because it's way slower. The other one that we're going to be doing projectiles on is the sniper rifle, but the bullet travels so fast that you'll never notice that we're going to be spawning that literally directly in the middle of the screen, and not at the actual barrel itself. Anyways, long story short, let's just get the gun in a good spot, which I think there, if you want to just see everything without all the extras, you can just hit game mode, I believe. Let's go back to frame 0. Click here, we'll just hit game mode, and then we can, game mode. Hit G to go to game mode, or game view, so we can see all the stuff with all the without all the controls and all that. So this looks pretty good. Obviously the hands and the wrist looks a little effed up. Let's have a look at that. You know what it is? I literally was gonna say this and was like, nah. Anyways, I left you guys off here where we had the twisted wrist and stuff here. So the reason for that, obviously, we haven't applied our post-processing to our skeletal mesh yet. So in order to get there, just open this up, go to first person arms, character mesh, and then here's the skeletal mesh. Just double click to open that guy up. And then you're gonna come to asset details, and we are going to scroll down till we find skeletal mesh. Post-process Anim blueprint. We're going to select the post-process arms that we made earlier. If that's not an option to you, just make sure that you duplicated the Manny, the one we had before at the beginning of the video there, whatever it was, the Manny post-processing. We duplicated that, and then we have to right-click and assign the skeleton to this skeleton, so that'll show up there. All right. Okay, with that done, we're going to save and close. That's made our wrist not look completely mangled. Okay, I've already completed the fingers because, like I said, my recording software crashed, so there they are there. If you guys haven't finished that, you can just pause the video and finish that up, but basically we want it to look like that. Next thing you want to do is you want to click on weapon mesh. We want to make sure that it is in a good spot here, which in this case it is for me. So click on weapon mesh and use the little gizmos here. The annoying thing, honestly, is like you go to move this up, like if I rotate the X up a little bit, it'll work. But as soon as that's it won't let me edit anything else. So you have to like re-click weapon mesh. It's really annoying. But we won't do that for the animation. We'll use the gizmo, which is off screen right now. Okay. So once that's happy, we're gonna get out of this view here. And down here, we want to set our play area or our playback range. First off, if this looks like that, that means your looping is off. We want to turn that on so that our animations loop back and forth. We've already set the green here, the playback range, to start at frame 0. So we want to go to frame 300 if we're running on 30 frames per second. And we're going to set an out frame here. One really cool thing is you can actually set markers. So we're going to set a marker right here by pushing M. And if I move my playhead, you'll see this little A here. If we roll over that, right click, and you see right here, marked frame, we're going to name this walk. Okay. And the color, I mean, you can do whatever color you want. It doesn't really matter. Use custom color. Oh, we'll do red. Sure. Okay. There. Actually, let's not do red. Let's do the green. Okay, so walk, and then we'll go back to frame 0, and we'll add a marker there, and we'll just call it idle. Okay, and the reason we're doing this is because we want to reuse these animations for the other guns. So how this is going to work is we're going to do the 6 animations in this one timeline. So we'll do idle, walk, jump start, jump loop, jump end, and sprint. And then we'll do one, I think for 4 of the guns, we're doing like a bonus one that's going to be a montage. So like for example, this AK, we're going to switch weapon mode. Same with the SMG, the bolt action rifle, we're going to do the bolt action. It's going to be a little jank because we can't like unhook the right hand and do it because it'll screw up our animation, or pardon me, our gun placement. But the shotgun, same thing, we're going to roll it and rechamber it. So those are the 4 bonus ones we're going to do for each one of the guns that are going to be in a montage and not in the animation state itself. Because if I play right now we have an idle animation, so we're in the idle state, and then when we walk, we have the walk state, and then when we jump, we do the jump start, jump loop, jump end. And then obviously right now we don't have a sprint animation, so we're going to make our own here. So those ones are going to be animation states. Those 4 bonus ones are going to be montages. So they will basically supersede anything we put in our animation graph. Let's save before we crash for the 4th time. I think it's crashed twice for me already. I don't know if I've shown that on screen or not at this point. But anyways, we're going to get back in our camera here and then exit so that we can get animating here. Okay, let's get going here. So let's zoom in here. Let's go to frame, like, I don't know, 45-ish. Okay. Let's click on weapon mesh, and since we're not in our camera, just be super vigilant on that so you're not moving the camera around. We're just going to go down till we can see the gizmo. Do super small like stuff here, and we're just going to set keyframes. We're going to set, I don't know, 7 or 8 different keyframes of movement, and then we're going to come over to our curves editor here and edit those and make them look nice. Okay, so we're just going to manipulate the location right now, so we'll just come over a little bit and then up a little bit maybe. And then we will come over to, like, you know, around 90-ish, and then we will go forward a little bit and then over, maybe down a little bit. And we'll just see how that plays so far. So far, that's not bad. So keep going. We'll set some more keyframes, but we'll come back, go down, go over, and then we'll come back, go up a little bit, and that'll be good. And then maybe some more. Like, this doesn't have to be super crazy because we're not moving the gun that much. One thing we didn't do is we didn't set the end keyframe here. So we're going to do one more keyframe here, and we want this to loop. So in order to do that, we're going to copy our first location keyframe and then go to the end here and paste it. And now it should blend seamlessly and loop between animations. So this is what it's going to look like. Let's make sure we're looking at it through our camera. Let's just deselect, unselect all. I just want to see what it looks like without it. So that looks pretty good, to be honest. Maybe one frame. There's one frame where we kind of drop and then come back up pretty quick. It's right here. It looks pretty boxy, like that's not really fluid. So what we can do now, now that we've set our keyframes, we can come over to the animation graph here and we can actually edit these. So really good, that really good thing about doing it this way and not doing it with the hands is we only have to deal with one set of location XYZ and one set of rotation XYZ. Instead of dealing with, like, as if I open this up, like, look at all those controls, right? Like, you'd have to deal with the locations for all of those in this graph, and it's just super messy for the first person rig. Okay, so we don't have to deal with that. That's great. We're just going to deal with the weapon itself. Okay, let's come over to the graph here. If you select some keyframes, like here's that Y bit here, maybe, is that what it was? The Y, yeah, see how it's kind of boxy in a way? Like you're going up and then you just immediately going down. It's kind of severe. So if we want to edit this, just these keyframes, you can highlight them and push F, and that will frame them so you can see them a bit better. And then I think specifically, is it the Y or is it the Z? Which one is it? I think it's probably a little bit more Y, so we can select location Y and then only edit this one. Yeah, you can see the curve here is a little bit dramatic here. So what we can do is, I'm going to show you guys what tweens are. So if I select this and then go up to tweens, this little thing appears here. And right now it's on BN, which stands for blend nearest. So if I make this -1, it's going to go to the previous keyframe. And if I go to +1, it's going to go to the next keyframe. So you can just find a nice middle ground. I think it's going to be closer to here is what I'm kind of looking for. The other one you can do is blend relative. So if I want, for example, maybe these two to be blended, so you can select those two and then blend relative, and it'll blend it. Keep them the same distance, but kind of blend them all together. So maybe we do, you know, something, I don't know, I think something like that would be fine. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Looks a little bit better. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. I might even make this one come down a little bit. We're going to blend nearest. Or sorry, not blend nearest. I'm just going to move this. If you hold down shift, by the way, and click on one keyframe and hold shift, if you drag up or down, now it's locked to an up or down axis and you can't move it left or right. And the opposite is true. If you click, hold shift and click and then drag left or right, it'll move it left or right, but it won't let you move it up and down. So that's a really nice way just to lock it to a specific axis. Okay, so we will move this down just to kind of like overshoot a bit and then settle in. So we'll see what that looks like. It's kind of stale here, hey? Like, it just doesn't really do anything. Let's look at our X value. Maybe we move this X value up a little bit just to give it a bit more, you know, something to do there. All right, and then the Z value. The Z value is pretty high, and then it, like, extremely goes down, so maybe what we'll do is we'll just make this blend a bit better there. There, that looks pretty good. All right, so now we're done that animation. Now we're going to go to our first-person mesh here, and we're going to right-click, and we're going to bake animation sequence. Okay, and we are going to go to first-person arms animations, and we are going to go FPS_AK_idle. And we're going to hit OK. I'm not going to show this next window every time, but it pops up every single time. Animation sequence options. All the default settings are fine. We're just going to hit export to animation sequence. Now, if you go to first person arms animations, there it is, FPS AK idle. So there's our first person animation. You can see the gun is not there. That's fine. We're going to attach the gun in the world to our socket, and then we just got to set that socket once we have these set up in the next video here. So let's get out of that. So I'm also going to show you in the next video how to do random idle animation. So we can do that now. So perhaps we don't have anything set in rotation here. So why don't we go to the end and just set a rotation keyframe just to make sure that we get back to the default location and it does loop. Let's say maybe right about here. Yeah, let's do right about here, like frame 61 or something like that. Let's add a rotation keyframe, and then let's add another one around 180, sorry. Okay, so now let's animate in between here, and let's just add some like extra stuff, just to add an extra idle animation here. So maybe we, you know, let's go to rotation here. Maybe let's, you know, check our gun out. Let's check it out. You know, hey. It looks pretty cool, and then maybe we, let's, we'll fix that later here and add a keyframe later, but, or we'll add one now. We'll add one here, so we'll kind of hold this position, and then we will flip it over, and then we'll hold that position. Let's go to our camera view and just see what that preview, what that looks like. So we go, oh yeah, looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool, and then we blend back. So this can definitely be longer, so let's just keyframe that out a bit more. Okay. So that's not a bad anim. What do you call this? That's not a bad idle animation, but again, you can make this way cleaner, so we can just work with rotation because that's all we're dealing with here. So we'll get out of our camera, and Y is what we did the most. So let's click on this and let's blend this a little bit back so we can stay on that a bit longer. And then I like how this kind of settles a bit. So let's make this just a bit more intense, and then we will blend this down here so we stay on it a bit longer. Maybe even blend it more. Okay. So that's not bad. And then we'll go back to our other idle animation. Perfect. So that's not bad. Let's go to our camera view and just kind of watch that over again. So we got our thing. We're going to check this out. Looks pretty good. Our hands are following our gun because it's really cute. All right, that's great. Let's export that one now. And you guys can make as many random ones as you want. So we'll export that to our first person mesh again. Animations, we'll call it FPS AK idle 2. Okay, so the way this works, so just so you guys are aware, we're gonna do, it's a random random animation node or something like that in the animation blueprint. And we're gonna set the main animation as to be the highest probable one to play, and then you can add as many other animations as they're in there as you want, and then you can just tell it to play, you know, 5% of the time or 10% of the time or whatever you want. And then every time it starts that node over, it's going to just randomly number generate it. And then if it selects that one, it just selects it. It's great. So that's how that works. So you don't want to put like 10 animations in there, mind you, because then it's going to be selecting a random animation basically every other time. But yeah, that's up to you guys. It's your game. So yeah, that's all done. Let's move over to our walk animation now. So we're going to go to the end. You know, let's go to frame, I don't know, the walk one's not going to be very long. Let's go like 350 maybe, and then set an end playback area, and then we're going to go to frame 300 and set it in here. Okay, we'll go to the end here. The next one we're going to do after this, if we want to set a marker, is the jump start. So we'll do label jump start, and use custom color. We'll do that as yellow, I guess. Okay, so the walk we're only going to do, we're going to do like, you know, as you're walking, you're taking steps. So we want to go up and then back down to neutral and then up the other way. But obviously we don't want it to be like super crazy. So we just need to set basically 3 keyframes. Okay, so for this one, let's set this one, make sure you're not in camera view. Let's save. Control-Shift-S. Save. Cool. Now if we crash, not a big deal. All right, so let's get started here. We're outside our camera view. We're going to go down. Let's focus on just location stuff first, and then we can augment it with rotation afterwards. Okay, so for our weapon, we're gonna come over and up. I think that's actually too aggressive, to be honest. So here's where the graph editor comes in handy. So it's like you know, let's frame that. So if we don't like how aggressive it is, maybe we come down a bit. Pardon me, I have all of them selected. Come down on the Z a bit. See what that looks like. That's actually not bad. Okay, and yeah, we'll fix it with frames after. Okay, I mean, we could honestly copy this location frame and rotation frame and put it in the middle here. So we're going back to the same spot. And then we'll add another one here, which will be actually, while we have that selected, let's yeah, 350, and let's paste. Okay, and jump start, you shouldn't be there, you should be on frame that. Okay, anyways, let's go right in the middle here, and now get out of camera view, select weapon mesh, and we're gonna go over and up a little bit. Okay, let's see what that looks like in the camera. Super nice, awesome walk animation that we can now edit. So it's pretty boxy and sorry, linear. Like you can see it goes up. Like it's basically like doing a V, right? We don't want that. We want some variation in the swinging. So let's go here. Let's edit the first 3 here. So we'll highlight those, hit F. And now we're, you can see here. So what we're gonna do now, I'm thinking, maybe the Y here, let's go Y, and that's not bad, to be honest. But let's linger here a bit, so let's add a keyframe by hitting enter, and then let's blend it down towards this, so we kind of stay here a little bit longer. Okay, and then we'll do the same we'll do the same thing here. We'll do it basically all of them here. And we'll go now. Okay. Also add one here. Does this loop? I'm just seeing where the keyframes are. It like barely doesn't loop. So let's move this. Is this on 300? That's 300. So this is like, it's almost like in a subframe. Oh, it's on 299. We don't like that. Okay, let's move this set frame. Whoops. Or I have to do that over here, I think. So highlight these. Set keyframe. 300, please. Thank you. One thing you got to pay attention is when it loops, like see how flat the line is here. So we go up and it's kind of flat, and then when it starts here, it immediately starts. Whoops! It immediately starts going down. So that creates a bit of a. So you can see when it loops, there's almost like a jump, like it kind of jumps a bit too quickly. So we're gonna go back to the Y here. And we're gonna maybe flatten this out just over here a little bit. So we'll hit enter to add a keyframe, and then we'll blend to nearest. And now when this loops, it's not as bad. It's still a little bit linear, so I'm wondering if, what's the, we're not in the camera here. So we want X. So let's go to X. Let's frame all this. We want to possibly move it over a little bit. Let's maybe go here and add a keyframe. We want to overshoot this a little bit, so let's hold shift and click and move this. We want to overshoot it just like that. And then we want to hold that a bit longer. So let's go here, let's blend nearest. Okay, and then same thing here. We're going to add a keyframe right here, and we're going to probably overshoot this a little bit. Okay, what's this? Do we need this? I don't think we need that. Let's get rid of that. See, that looks way more natural. It's just kind of swinging, and then unfortunately it goes from flat to flat. So I'm sure you guys can see what I mean. It's kind of falls flat there for a second. So perhaps we add a keyframe here, and let's maybe blend this down. So we got a bit of a curve, and then we will add one here as well, and then we'll add a bit of a extra curve here. Let's see what happens. So I mean, like, don't look at the timeline and just like look at the animation. That actually doesn't look too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so that's your walk animation. Do we need to add any rotational stuff on it? I don't think we do. We don't want to, you know, be adding like crazy stuff. We'll be doing more rotational stuff in the jump thing next here. So we're all done that. Let's right click and go first person mesh, make animation sequence. First person arms animations, FPS _AK _ walk. Okay. All right, let's do jump start. So here we are at jump start. We don't need, let's just move this red one here. Probably, we don't need very much. Let's just move it and then we'll figure out how it looks in a second here. The animation, I just wanted to make sure it didn't screw anything up. So we had to actually pilot the camera and just come back like a little bit. And maybe like 871 or something like that. And then when you move your timeline, your hand should snap back to the sockets that we had. Okay, and then honestly, let's just lock our first-person character so we can't move him anymore. Okay, so we can't select him now. We're just going to select this, and now we get that gizmo. We have that gizmo here, which is super nice for animating. So anyways, for jump start, we are going to add a couple of keyframes. Basically, right away here, we're going to jump straight up. And so we'll just grab our gun and we'll come straight up. Ooh. Let's unpilot this camera here for a second, and let's just move. Let's move this over, I guess. Yeah. So move that over, make sure it's like out of frame there, just so we don't get a little, whatever the case may be there. That should actually, oh, that doesn't, oh, you know why? Because we locked our guy. Oh, look at all this stuff here. Let's unlock our control rig here, and now let's move this over. Let's make sure we're on the beginning of the timeline here. Just so we have a bit of play there. Okay, does it move? No, so that updated the whole thing, so that's great. All right, let's repilot our camera. Let's copy the walk start keyframe and then paste it here, just because we don't want when we do the other animations to have those not be looping. There, that should loop. Okay, so now we're at the beginning here. Let's go like 5 frames in. Let's see. Oh, it's right here. So jump up. Okay, so that looks good. And now we want to go to about 360, and we want the barrel to basically lag a little bit behind the body of the gun. I'm thinking here the barrel should be, is it the X? What do we want here if we go to rotation? The X. So we want this to go down a little bit and almost like lag behind. So there's the jump. And then right about here, we'll add another keyframe for the X. And then we want it to come up. Whoops, that's not what we want. That's location. And then we want it to come up to about here. So that's pretty quick. So let's edit that. So this is just the jump bit, right? So there's that. You know what? I might start. Whoops, undo. I might start doing that maybe here, and then we'll add another keyframe here. So back like this. Maybe we need more time here. This will be the last keyframe as well, so we'll just do that. All right, that's actually not bad. So let's go to the end of the play here, or the whatever you call this, last keyframe. Right here, we're gonna add a marker, and we'll call this one jump loop. We'll leave the color the same, and yeah, that's not bad. I mean, this one's not going to loop, obviously. So we will set this as the last keyframe, and now we're going to export this from the first-person mannequin bake animation sequence. We're going to do FPS underscore AK underscore jump start. And now let's do the jump loop. Jump loop's not too hard. We just need to maybe get, what are we at here? 360. Let's go to like 420. And we'll set the endpoint there, and then we'll go to we were at 362, I think, and we'll send a start frame there. Okay, let's go back to the end frame and add a transform track here so that everything's all the same. All right, let's start doing this now. Basically, we just need, I don't know, maybe about here, we need the X value for the weapon mesh to come down. Like about there. And then it's going to slowly come back up. So if we just play this now, it's just kind of floating, which is nice. We're going to sell this with rotation, actually. So right about here, let's add some rotation. Probably like a little bit of this. And then maybe like a little bit of this. And then a little bit up. And then maybe a little bit more down, and then a little bit more of this. Let's see what that looks like. Not bad. But there is a... Maybe this needs to come back one frame. Something's not the same. So yeah, when that happens, just open these up, have a look at them, see if there's any keyframes missing, which in this case, maybe it's the location ones as well we're missing. So we'll copy these, go back to the beginning, we'll paste those. There it goes. That's a good fall animation. So yeah, you just got to kind of diagnose like where these don't line up. Luckily, we only have like the couple to work with, the 6 different axes and stuff. So that actually worked out quite well. So there's your fall animation. Let's right-click on our first-person mesh, and we are going to bake animation sequence. Same thing, animations, first-person shooter underscore AK underscore jump loop. All right, so let's get into the next part here, which is the fall end. This one's a bit more fun. Okay, so there's where we need to start, put another marker here. And we'll call this one jump end. This one red. So go to jump end. We don't need much, maybe like that much. There we go. So yeah, there's jump end. We're going to select there, and then that's going to be the beginning of our play range now. So for jump end, we're going to come down and we're going to land, and then the barrel's going to keep going and follow through. and then we're going to bring it back up to a neutral state. So let's just get our end frame right now, which will be where it was jump start. So let's just collapse all these transforms, and then we can just copy this guy. We'll go to the end of our timeline, and we'll hit paste. There, that's all done. So you can see it's kind of already blending, but we want to do some more fun stuff here. We might even want to make this a bit longer, maybe like 450, and then we'll set this keyframe to 450. All right. Okay, so we're going to come down quite hard. I think maybe here. We'll select the weapon mesh. We are going to go down quite a ways. And then we'll fix that after, and then it's going to slowly come back up. But we're going to do mainly rotational stuff now. So here we should add a keyframe for rotation. Okay, and then we're going to make the X come way down. And then that slowly comes up like that. Let's actually add a keyframe here. Let's like let's come up a little bit on the X, just so it's like a bit of an overshoot, and then it's going to settle back in. So we can also add some pitch as well. Maybe like it falls right about here. We kind of pitch it to the side a little bit. All right, let's zoom in on our graph here. A bit cooler. So we're going to lag behind a little bit on our roll here. So we'll add a keyframe. Actually, we'll add a keyframe right where this other one is. And we'll blend this back so that it stays down for a second. Maybe we'll make this one go up a bit higher just to have a bit of a follow through. All right, so that looks pretty good here. Perfect. So let's export that. Okay, we've export that animation sequence. Okay, so the last one we need to do is sprint for our main states. So for this one, we're just going to go ahead to like, I don't know, we'll start here at frame 451. We are going to, we'll move this play area back. We'll set this as the new thing. We'll set a marker, and we'll call this marker sprint. All right, so there's sprint, and so we need to set the first keyframe, and everything's going to be different here, so we're going to set a whole transform keyframe. Now we need to rotate our gun, but we need to rotate our gun like, I guess that's a good starting point here, like a neutral point. Okay, now let's go to our camera and see what it looks like. That's pretty good. All right, so let's animate us running. So it's going to be the same thing as walking, except it's going to be probably a little bit quicker, a little bit more aggressive. So why don't we have the barrel come basically, you know, back and forth this way. Let's move it forward, and we'll roll it this way. And next we will roll it the other way. And maybe we'll come over back this way. All right, so let's see what that looks like in our camera. We need more Z. So I think when we come back here, we will rotate on the Z, or more X, pardon me. We need more X. There we go. Rotate that down. And then we'll come up here on the X. Okay, let's copy, whoops, undo. Oh my God, why is Control Z just not working today? It's just refuses to work. All right, so we need to copy these first keyframes here and go to the end and paste those so that they loop. Did I turn off Control Z? Like a serious question, because anytime I hit Control Z, nothing happens, which is super detrimental to some of my things here. So I just realized actually, if this happened to you guys, if I go up to edit and it says undo redo, because I was complaining about my Control Z not working, it says cannot undo while create keys in progress. This is actually a bug apparently. So we'll just save our game and we'll restart the engine. Yeah, funny enough, that bug was a something in the background running that shouldn't have been running, and actually when I went to quit Unreal Engine, it crashed. So yeah, that's what that's from. It's something to do with keyframing and it not deleting keyframes or some sort of weird thing. All right, I've restarted the engine. You can see I have Control Z back. Hooray. Okay, so that doesn't fully line up. So what did we not have in here that we have in now? Oh, I think Let's just get rid of these, maybe. Oh, and then we have duplicates here as well. Let's get rid of those. There we go. That's blending nice. Okay, let's look at it from the camera's perspective. We can even speed this up a little bit if we want. That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so let's export that. That's all done. So now we need to do the specialty one. So we're gonna go one frame further. We're gonna let's copy. Let's actually go to the very beginning of the timeline. Let's go 0, and let's copy everything here. And then let's go to the very end, and we'll put it at 472. We'll paste that, and we will move the end here so we can place the beginning of the timeline here. We're almost there, everybody. We just got one more specialty one here, and then I'm going to show you guys how to do it with the other weapons, and then I will let you go here to do your own things. So we're going to add another marker here, and we'll call this specialty, I guess. We'll just say montage special. Let's set an end frame. I don't know. We'll just do it down here. So the special one for the AK is it's going to be doing a weapon switch. So I mean, it can be literally something as simple as, well, first of all, let's go to the end and set a keyframe so we don't F this up some more. Something as simple as, like, just rotating the gun for a second. So we'll not pilot the camera. We'll select the gun. We'll rotate it over. We'll add a keyframe there for all of rotation. And then here we will do a little nickety-nick. Okay, and what you could also do is, here specifically, you can animate the thumb coming up. And we're not in the camera view. You can animate the thumb coming up and doing some sort of motion if you wanted. But just make sure that if you do that, we'll come down here and we'll go to, we'll just type in thumb. We want thumb R down here. Just make sure you add keyframes at the beginning of this timeline so that you don't screw up the rest of your animations. Okay, so we'll have the thumb come up here maybe, and then right here it does a little flicky. Okay, and then we'll copy these keyframes, copy, and go to the end and paste those so that goes back to normal. And let's watch it from camera view. Cool, so the thumb moves a little bit, so that's pretty cool. Alright, that is the special montage, and that is it for the AK. So let's hit this, bake sequence here, animations. We'll call this FPS underscore AK underscore fire mode switch. Alright, so that's all done. So that is the most time-consuming part of this whole process. Now we just need to redo it for all the other guns, except it's much easier. So what we're going to do, we're going to close this, let's save, Control-Shift-S. We're going to close this animation sequencer, and it's going to put us back into selection mode. Let's open our content browser. Let's duplicate this anim sequence, and we'll call this one, shotgun anims. Okay, so the steps to do this is just slightly different than before, and there's actually a new technique to learn as well. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here, let's right-click this, and we need to convert this to a spawnable actor. Okay, so we're going to do that now, and now what we can do is we can select this. Come on, and we can change class, and we can change it to our, where are you? Shotgun. So now it's become our shotgun. Okay. So now it does everything that we had it doing before, but obviously it doesn't look exactly right just because it's slightly different. So we're going to do something brand new here, which is Q. We're going to add an offset. So we're going to click on Weapon Mesh. Let's go to the very beginning of the timeline, and let's just have that start at the beginning here. So yeah, we're going to select Weapon Mesh. We're going to go up here to Layers. So this is where you can add different things to this thing. Like, for example, our control rig, you can separate out just like the hand bones and put them on their own layer so that you don't have to deal with all the other things, and you can have it blend back between one layer or another. So you can layer on top of an animation, for example, so you can have the idle animation for the third person, and then if you want him to, like, say, like, look up into the sky for some random reason, you can put that on its own layer and then blend back and forth between the idle and him looking up into the sky. So really cool thing here. So all we're going to do is we're going to select weapon mesh, we're going to hit layer, and we're just call this offset, because we're going to offset the gun. We don't want to change any of these other animations that we've already done. We only want to offset the location of the gun. So you'll see that this is additive, and that's what we want. We want it to add to this existing animation stuff that we've already done. So with this selected, I think, yeah, okay, good. So it did add the transform, which is basically what we want. So, so with this selected, we're going to select the gun, and we're going to make sure we're not piloting our camera, and then we're going to move it up. Okay, and let's pilot our camera now so we can see. Okay, that's not bad. Perhaps we want to rotate it a bit as well. So something like that looks pretty good. You'll also notice that our hands are gone. So if we open this constraint and go all, you'll see that they're still here, but it says undefined. So you can either start that process over, and we will go to the, we'll just type in hands here, or hand, I guess. First person mesh, hand, we want the left hand IK control, we'll add another constraint. Parent, we'll select the AK-47 in quotations, and left hand socket. And we'll do the same thing for the right hand IK control. Parent, this, right hand socket. Okay, so that's done, and now we need to make sure we're not piloting our camera, and we need to actually set our things, because they're all messed up. Look at that. They're all messed up. So this is the left hand, so we will move this into position. Let's change this to world. It'll just be easier to line it up here. Okay, so there we go. Got that into approximate position here. Same thing with this guy. Mangled hand. Mangled hand. And you'll need to redo this for each weapon, these steps, that I'm doing now. By the way, if the finger controls are all messed up, I ran into an issue where, like, I cleared all the transforms, but for some reason, like, they were hidden somewhere. Like, just go to details, go to anim details, just check all of the finger things and make sure that they don't have any rotation or location on them, and just reset them. And then check and see if there's any keyframes randomly on those fingers. Or not, and then just clear those keyframes, and it should reset your hand back to basically the T-pose hand placements. So that'll save you a bit of work here trying to figure out how to deal with mangled hands. All set up. This is basically a rinse repeat, so I'm just gonna let you guys get on with it, and so get your hands all set up, and then I'll meet you guys afterwards. All right, Unreal crashed on me again, so I had to redo like 25 minutes of work, so that was super cool. But anyway, I might even just send this in as a bug report, this whole video to Epic, because I don't know why the first-person rig crashes so much. It's like they really don't want us to have one or something. I don't know. No one really tested this out or something. Anyways, so we are watching our idle animation. And yeah, I know I deleted these already because I had to redo them. The second idle animation doesn't look too bad now, so I'm actually going to go to frame 300 here, set a note, and I'm going to export that. All right, so idle looks good. We're gonna go to walk now, and we'll just scrub over here. We'll actually go to jump start and hit the N key, and then back to walk. And then set our play range here. Let's hit play. Walk looks good. I'm going to export that. So yeah, this is literally all it is. It's just going through, watching your animations, making sure they don't look stupid. Because we obviously made them for the rifle. And I'm pretty sure they're all going to be good, except for the last one, the special montage. Obviously, we'll have to do something. The sprint, we might have to edit. The only one you have to get really special on is the pistol, because the pistol obviously will be a sidearm, so it'll be slightly weird. All right, I got through all the animations. I didn't see any. That looked weird. So now I'm on the last one, the montage one we made for our AK-47. So we're gonna set an end frame and then a open frame here, and we can probably just delete all of this. Yeah, just because we're gonna start over. And I see we have some thumb as well, because we had the thumb in there, that's right. So we'll open this up, and we'll delete all those keyframes as well. Once we get to them, there they are. But anyways, back at the top here, this is where we're going to do our shotgun pump. Okay, so obviously we'll do something similar like we did with the rolling. So I think we'll set transform keyframes here on the base layer. And let's just roll this. Let's go to world view here, world space, and we'll, oh, that is the hand. I don't want the hand. We want the weapon mesh. There we go. Let's roll this guy over, and as we roll it over, we're gonna have a shell eject out of here just to kind of distract the player to the point where we don't have rigged weapons, so we can't actually see the action come back. So let's roll that over. Why is that staying rolled over? Okay, we're doing the base, weapon mesh on the base layer. There we go. So that's what we want. Make sure we're editing on the base layer. So we'll roll this over. And it still didn't do it, so it's still doing it on the offset layer. We don't want that. Let's lock the offset layer so it doesn't do that. Base layer, weapon mesh. Does it do it now? Nope, still didn't do it. Interesting. Unreal crashed again. For the love of God, I better have saved something. All right, Unreal crashed for the don't even know how many more times that is, but so I had to reduce the animation exporting again. I hope you guys have been saving along the way because it's been super frustrating. Basically, been trying to record this for 5 hours, something that should have probably taken an hour and a bit maybe. But anyways, so when something starts to not work the way intended, I think Unreal's like gonna crash soon. So make sure you save at that point because before we were trying to animate this. In the base layer, and it wouldn't let us, so that was super strange. Anyways, let's go to the layers here, and we want to do it on the base layer. We want to delete this stuff. We want to do rotation, pitch. Okay, guess we'll just edit it here, and then it'll actually work. So we will keep the pitch there, and then we want to bring back the location a little bit when we like chamber it. So that'll start here. That'll be the X. We'll put a keyframe here, and then we'll put another keyframe here. And then in the middle, we will bring that X back. Oh, whoops. X is not the one we want. We want Z. What do we want? We want Y. So here, Y, Y, and bring it back just a little bit, not too much. Okay, the other thing we need to bring back is our hand. So we will just type in hand here. Hand left. We will probably about here. We will start bringing the left hand back. So we'll hit a keyframe right here. We will want it probably back to normal about there. And then we're gonna go to the middle here, where just before that, we're gonna start moving the hand back. Oh, are we in local? We're in local. We want to be in global. That looks pretty good. The shotgun rechamber. And then we'll move it back here. That looks pretty good. Probably end it actually sooner, so let's go back up to the top here. Oh, I gotta undo hand, that's it. All right, weapon mesh. Let's shorten this guy up here. Probably like here, and then we'll put the end frame there as well. Okay. If we go back to the beginning of this, we actually want to go one frame here and start it there. There we go. There we go. That looks pretty good. We'll have the shell ejecting out of there and everything. It'll look super great. So let's export that. Essentially, that's all you need to do is just continue to do all of the weapons just like that. Basically, we have it as a spawn here. I'll just recap here just before. Export to animation. So yeah, this is a spawnable weapon, so just duplicate these sequences for each weapon and then change the spawnable weapon to whatever the one is in the scene, like pistol or whatever. Don't be afraid to break the control rig. Interesting that I just saved. Interesting that I just saved and then it crashed again. Look at this. Again. Holy fucking shit. Anyways, it just crashed again, but it saved that animation we just did, so that's great. But yeah, basically we're going to spawn this, or change the class to the gun that I was just talking about. And then you're going to want to make the arms, or sorry, the hands and stuff do what they need to do. And then remember to use the offset to offset the weapon, because they're all going to be slightly different. And yeah, thanks for watching this bugged edition of Unreal Engine 5 animation tutorials here. In the next video, I will show you guys how to implement all of these into the animation blueprint, and then we're also going to do a couple of other things in that video that I hope you guys will like and subscribe to the video, and I will see you guys later. Peace!